Hello, welcome to Ants Are Everywhere. We're looking today at Xterm, the terminal emulator. This is an old project. I don't think I even have access to the version control. I just have the a tarball of the code here, and it kind of looks like everything's in a single folder. Although we have, I guess, icons, package, tech tests. I don't know what tech TEK is. Unicode VT tests, VT maybe virtual terminal, and those are all of the directories. Should we look at icons? Filled Xterm. So that's a good icon. Looking sharp. We have some XVGs. Yeah, this is all really good. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. Let's figure out where to start. Can I just do this? Get rid of icons. All right. Config.guess, I will assume, is some utility for guessing what configuration options we need. And we have some things like cursor. I think that probably this uses ncursors or ncurse, whatever that library is called. Is everything marked? Okay, so let's take a look at cursor. I don't know what data.h and .c are. Those might be worth looking at. Double cur, some sort of double character, maybe double wide character. Graphics is probably a part of why we're here. Graphics regis, probably register. Sixel? I don't know. Maybe we'll open these up and plan to close them. We have html.c. I don't know what sort of HTML support Xterm has, but maybe we can look at it. Input.c is presumably mainly going to be like system calls to the Unix POSIX input commands. I think we can probably skip that. Main, the header, and the C file we should look at. Menu, I'll skip. I don't know what precompose is. That's maybe something about functions. I guess we'll take a quick look at it. Scroll bar. I guess we'll look at scroll bar and scroll back. SVG support. Probably not so important. Tech proc. And tech parse. I don't know what those are, but we'll look at those. Term info is, I think, just mainly a database of terminal stuff, or maybe this is just the Xterm entries for term info. Trace is probably for debugging. I guess we'll take a look at it. Util version VMS. Don't know what that is. We'll at least look at the header. Some string stuff, which I think we're going to ignore. Xterm cap. Maybe we'll look at Xterm cap. And Xterm.h and UTF-8. I guess let's look at Xterm.h. All rights reserved. Okay, so how big is this file? About 2,000 lines, more or less. And what do we have? We have a lot of defines. How's the font, by the way? Maybe I'll increase it a little bit. All of this stuff, like use TTY group, use POSIX weight. These are configuration options that, based on the things inside the defined, look like operating systems, like Mac 2, Cray. But also Linux and sys. I don't know if this is pronounced sysv or sys5, an old Unix, HP Unix. So this goes way back as far as operating systems go. I'm just going to ignore all of that and see if we can find some code. Here we're defining a bunch of strings really as types. So like allows the string allow send events, camel cased, is going to be xtn extension, I guess, allow send events. So these are maybe extensions. We have a bunch of externally defined functions. This is maybe like the whole API, like allocate term color, get window property is I assume what get win prop is. Xterm is iconified. This is maybe like, have I made it small by like clicking the minimize button? We have bell for sounding a bell, presumably. Change group. Why do we want to change group? I don't know. I'm guessing this is somehow support for ch group in Unix, but I don't know how the terminal is supposed to react to that. And we have things like Xterm iconify, Xterm bell, switch modes, etc. So these are all functions that are externally defined. They're all, for the most part, void. And you pass in things like bool, whether to set VT visibility. So this is like a switch that performs some action, like setting visibility. We have Xterm media control, which is maybe like volume and stuff. Things like allocate buffer, etc., etc. So is there anything not Xterm in this header? Damaged cells. I guess not. So this is all just, I guess the idea here is you import this header, and this header ultimately includes a bunch of other stuff depending on what system you have, and that determines what's available. Yes, kill it anyway. Okay, so that's the header. Let's take a look at the main header, main.h. Again, how big are we? About 300 lines. A bunch of if-defs again. And really, that's all there is. We have def class Xterm, so I guess that's the name of the program. I guess whatever class is in this context, I don't know. The font is fixed. The wide font is null. Grab one, which is 2x is wide. The FXIM font. No, def XM font. I don't know what XM font is, but it's some other font. And it's also set to fixed. The face name is mono. I'm guessing mono meaning monospaced, similar to fixed. And we've got some things like disallowed paste controls. Backspace, delete, enc, I'm not sure. End of T terminal, escape, null, and whatever STTY is, we'll look those up. And why are they disallowed for pasting? I don't know. I guess to prevent you from pasting like a delete or a backspace. So no, that's not what I want. I could bring up Xterm. So here's Xterm. I don't even know how I would copy a backspace character. Delete. Okay. At any rate, we can paste some things in here. Like I can just grab this and paste it in. Maybe? No. But whatever the paste keys are, I'm not sure. They don't seem to be my normal keys. All right, well, whatever. But we can see that the font is not, by default at least, is not particularly pretty. It's some monospace font that looks like it's stuck in the 80s or early 90s or something. Do I have the AIs open? Yeah, so let's ask about these characters. Actually, let's just use the search engines. STTY. Change and print terminal line settings. Is this a character? It seems like a function. And then what about EOT and ENQ? Yeah, these are the ASCII control codes. EOT is end of transmission. End of text is ETX. ENQ is inquiry. Del should be delete, right? That's not in here. Let's look up end of transmission. Or how about inquiry TTY code? Bado. So the inquiry character is a transmission control character that requests a response from the receiving station, with which a connection has been set up. It represents a signal intended to trigger a response at the receiving end to see whether it is still present. The response and answer back code to the terminal that transmitted the WRU, who are you signal, may include station identification, the type of equipment in service, and the status of the remote station. Okay, so this is kind of like a ping, where the thing you get back is like also like our metadata, essentially. And is that enough for us? I'm kind of curious about STTY. I guess let's ask ChatGPT. Tell me about, what is it called? These characters? Controls. These disallowed paste controls from Xterm. So backspace, delete, etc. We all know those. Inquiry is used for polling on other devices. End of transmission is a control character indicating the end of a transmission. Allowing it to be pasted could signal the premature end of input or cause confusion in the terminal session. Escape is the one we all know. Null is an ASCII character used to terminate strings. Yeah, it makes sense that you can't just paste that. And STTY is a command used to manipulate terminal settings. And pasting it could, I guess, result in undesirable effects. Like maybe that's a way of like hacking someone if it's a non-printable command. Okay, so that's stuff that you're not allowed to paste. Kind of figure if we're going to look at Xterm, we should learn a little bit about the terminals of days of old. But everything else seems like more or less ordinary code. And let's take a look at the main function, which should probably be in here. We have qSetLogin, which calls getSID on the getPID. GetSID is maybe session ID. Get session ID. All right. And we've got this proc session thing. We're setting the type of the session, the subtype, et cetera, et cetera. Then we're going to call send on the stuff that we just created, essentially. And if the status is less than 0, then I guess that's probably an error because we're just returning the status. And if we get here, we reset ps.type. I'm not sure why, but we set subaction 2 instead of subaction 1 here. And then we printf some stuff, I guess / the NID and the TTY name, and send some more stuff. And then we return the RPC status. What is let's look up the send system call. Send. The system call send and send message are used to transmit a message to another socket. So we're just sending it to some socket, I guess. The send call may be used only when the socket is in a connected state. So who are we sending it to? How many arguments do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Although send 1, 2, 3, 4. So somehow we have an extra argument. Is that right? Unless send with a capital S is defined in Xterm. I'm not sure. I think it must be a system call. All right, I'm not going to dig too much further. At any rate, that's setting something about the process in the session, and possibly printing somewhere what it is up to, or at least setting it to some variable. And then we have set group, which takes nothing and just returns 0. Where is this? So if Minix, yeah, okay. So if we're in Minix, then that's what this does. And then long jump has this flavor. And that's really all that's in main.c, right? Oh, no, I'm just at the bottom. Okay. So there should be some int main. Here, int main. Okay. So if option maximized, then we might do some stuff, which I'm going to ignore. But we get a widget. We have some sort of widget type, which is form top and menu top, which I'm going to guess is like this thing up here, this bar. Did I close Xterm? I'm not sure if that's part of this is part of Xterm. This should be part of the display manager or window manager, I believe. And we have menu high, which is a dimension, I guess, how much room we take up if you include the menu, I suppose. A T screen, a mode. I don't know if that's the terminal mode or some other kind of mode. A class, which def class set it to like the string Xterm, I believe. A line speed, which I guess matters in the modem days, perhaps more than today, and some other stuff. And we have program name, which is going to be essentially Xterm, I think. We're somehow getting it from the argument 0. Xterm find shell. I guess we'll figure out what shell we're in, maybe like bin bash or bin sh or something. And then if program path is null, then we're going to set argv0 to, if it's not null, we'll set argv0 to program path. And we might save the UID and GID. I don't know what R means here, but maybe that's the initial. It's like we're saving whatever we were called with. So I guess if we change UID or GID in the terminal, we have some memory of what it used to be. We might disable set UID and set GUID, or set GID rather. And tty dev is set to type malloc n, whatever that means. So we have some tty dev thing. I guess that's the tty device, the teleterminal device, like dev tty q255. How can I find what it says cat? Okay, well, never mind then. I'm sure there's some way of finding what my TTY device is in a given shell. All right, so that's setting that stuff up. We've got this trace. Do these first. We've got this trace stuff. I'm going to guess tracing is related to debugging, but this is some stuff about options. And then we're going to say before xt open application. So this is essentially a logging statement. So if argz is bigger than 1, then we have some options, and I guess we're just going to parse them and set them up in some option struct. If quit, we're going to call exit 0. And if there's anything left unparsed and we're not using -e, then give up. So we might decide that there are too many arguments and we're just going to not do anything. Right. And I think that's not the end of main, right? That's just the end of some other stanza. Yeah. Okay. And then there's some more optional stuff like allow logging, some stuff that looks like it's particular to some specific device. Then we're going to call Xterm open session, which we might as well go to. That's here in xterm.h. I'll look at that later. And then set title and icon name if not specified. So we might have some command to exec. I'm not sure exactly where we got that, but we got it from somewhere. And if we do have a command to exec, then we will possibly set the title and the icon name. And then we're going to set some args into this args list that we created. The things that we're setting include the title and the icon name. And I guess that's for like when you, so I'm just going to open up a different shell now. But if I do what? Hang on. I guess if I do, how do I send it a command? I'm sure there's some way of sending it to a command where can I not grep this because it's in error? All right. So somewhere, if I were to look above, it would tell me how to send a command. And I think that what this is doing is just sending the top of the widget essentially to tell you what command is running in that terminal. That's my guess. And then we might do some stuff if like the title is empty. Like setting title to some resource.title. Okay. If the term has a miscellaneous call filter, then we might do some filtering. I'm not really sure what a call filter is. See if I can open this in the background here. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at call filter. True to invoke Luit. What is Luit? Oops. Luit is a filter that can run between an arbitrary application and a UTF-8 terminal emulator. It will convert application output from the locale's encoding to UTF-8 and convert terminal input from UTF-8 to the locale's encoding. Okay, well, this is some sort of encoding stuff, and we're going to ignore it. And if we are doing debugging, we might do some stuff, and then we're going to call spawn Xterm with passing in the terminal and the line speed. And I'm going to guess that's essentially the end. We might do some stuff like if VMS is set, although where does VMS start? If def, I don't know, somewhere above. But we also have some like error handling stuff and some VT stuff, I guess, if we're doing VT stuff. We have also this Xterm embed window, which you give it a window to embed into. And something about reverse 0. This is something about setting colors, reverse video. I don't know when you would reverse video, etc., etc. So I think that Xterm open session which I will open in the background as well. And then spawn X terminal or whatever. Spawn Xterm are the places to be next. Hello. Can I give you advice on how to learn efficiently? Yes. There's in general there's no real shortcuts. You have to invest some amount of time in order to learn. One of the best things you can do is reduce obstructions to learning, such as I think like fear is a big obstruction to learning. Like the feeling of being overwhelmed or anxious, and so part of that is just coming to terms with the fact that learning something is going to take time. So that's one, I think, key to efficiency. You also have to make sure that you have some place where you can focus away from distractions, and you need to, I guess, practice little you need to practice little things like sub skills of learning that if you don't have them can really get in your way, and that's often things like if you're like, let's say if you're learning a programming language, that's often like some of the more boring drill stuff, like making sure you know the syntax, maybe having some just basic flashcards if you're not familiar enough with the syntax, or just doing even relatively easy exercises. So all of those will sort of like clear the way and make it smoother sailing. But then above all of that, the advice I would give is that I think most people don't spend enough. So people tend to either do like people have a tendency either to act as soon as possible without doing any research, or like research forever without acting, and both of those are bad. You have to do some balance between like researching it and thinking about what it is that you want to do, and also practicing it. And so kind of getting into the rhythm of that is the other piece of advice I have. All right, so here's spawn terminal. This is going to init the PTY and TTY. So TTY is teleterminal something, yak. Teletype, I guess, is what the Y came from. And then PTY, I forget the difference. Basically, both are bidirectional channels, but a TTY is a main OS terminal, while PTYs can be allocated on request. So virtual teletype is TTY and a pseudo teletype. Okay. All right. So spawn Xterm is going to take some Xterm widget and a line speed, and going to create a T screen. We've seen some of these types before, like the widget and the T screen. A cardinal, NN. We might optionally have a PTY handshake. And it's an optional erase. RC, I'm not sure what that would stand for. TTY file descriptor is -1. Okay, term cap. I forget what term cap is. And then we have some new TC car star. And a bunch of if defs. We'll set the UID and GID for the screen. I guess probably based on whatever we saved before. And we might be a slave, in which case we save some information about that. I guess we have to figure out who the thing controlling us is. And then we have, I guess we'll track whether the teleterminal got hung. And if so, do some things like okay, so this I guess detects whether we're hung, and if we're not, then we do some stuff. Wait, sometimes dev TTY hangs on open, as in the case of a PTY that has gone away. Simply make up some reasonable defaults. So for whatever reason, we're setting hung false here. I guess maybe we've cleared it through these actions. Otherwise, we set hung to true and error out. And then what else are we doing? Taking care of more hanging situations again. And I guess if we're down here, is this the happy path? Get a copy of the current terminal state. If we can, some systems may not have a controlling terminal at this point. I think we might still be in the slave mode. I'm just going to kind of scroll through here. This used to exit if no term cap entry was found for the specified terminal name. Let's look up term cap. You're welcome. Term capabilities, a legacy software library and database used in Unix-like computers that enables programs to use display computer terminals in a device-independent manner. So this is some older technology that I guess you have some heading or information that lets you signal how you comply with some standard or whatever is how I'll think of it. So maybe LFAS, maybe one more thing I'll say that I'm just being reminded of is that a great deal of learning is organization. So just being organized about what you intend to do, how you've done it. And that may not often feel like learning, but in practice, as you look back, that's really powerful. And another huge part of learning is just like pattern matching. So if you the best way to so if, like having a varied sense, if you want to learn some field, it's often useful to read at a shallow level a few books about it before you dig into any one book, because that will give you a set of patterns that you can kind of bring to bear that you've acquired with less effort than if you really dug in. I had a follow-up point here, which seems to have slipped my mind. Yeah, I'll let you know if I think of it. Okay. This is more term cap stuff. This code is pretty hard to follow with all of the different branching, the if defs and stuff like that. Set initial arrays false. So we're setting some stuff up. It's not clear exactly what's being set up and under what conditions, but we're getting to the level of system calls and stuff. I'm going to take a look at the widgets. I wanted to see something, at least a little bit about the widgets. I still don't know about tech. So we have Xterm widget, which is what, some struct. So Xterm widget record, I'm guessing is what this stands for, has a core part, some size hints, presumably for fonts, some visual info, the number of visuals, some RGB shifts, whether we have RGB or I guess, older terminals are black and white, especially the era in which I think Xterm was started, a terminal keyboard, a terminal screen, some flags, and things like the colors, current foreground color, etc. Tab stops of the terminal. I don't know if this is just recording everywhere there's been a tab, or if that's something different. Like on a typewriter, tab stops are kind of set for all of the rows, right? Let's look up tab stop. A tab stop on a typewriter is a location where the carriage movement is halted by an adjustable end stop. Tab stops are set manually, and pressing the tab key causes the carriage to go to the next tab stop. Okay, so the thing that the tab key, based on this and based on my understanding of typewriters, what pressing the tab key does, instead of going to a fixed space, is going to the next tab stop, which I think, at least in older versions of Word, Microsoft Word, you could set. I think that maybe this little triangle here is possibly the tab stop, or maybe it's these things. I don't really remember, but let's see if we can find a picture of a typewriter. These things, I think. You like set physical devices, and there's which one? And that somehow determines mechanically where you go when you hit the tab key. And then let's actually look at an old vintage TTY terminal. Model 28 teletype. So it looks like this. I don't know what era this is, but this would be a cool thing to have. Wait. This, I don't know. This is some AT&T terminal, it looks like. I don't know what these things are. These are possibly like bells or speakers. But anyway, the thing I wanted to convey is that, in the really old days, when some of these specifications started being written, you didn't necessarily have a screen. Or if you did have a screen, you might have like a little two-line screen like this. And now that I'm seeing other pictures, this is maybe for the phone to go on if it's like a modem device. How should I read more books about programming stuff to get deep? It's a good question. It's really up to you about what you want to learn. If you want to learn about programming, then yeah, I think you should read some programming books. It doesn't have to necessarily be books. There's lots of information online. I personally find that looking at a screen too long or like scrolling through a screen is a little bit disruptive. So I prefer to read books if I'm like trying to focus or just don't want to be like staring at a light bulb, because that's essentially what you're doing whenever you're looking at your phone. So, but if books are like not easy to acquire or you prefer reading on devices, you can do that as well. But yeah, you just have to find some way of inputting enough data. Your brain is basically an AI machine learning type thing. It's doing like statistical calculations and associating the patterns that it sees. So in general, the more you feed to it, the better. Although you want to make sure you're feeding it high quality information, not just like the rantings of lunatics or whatever. Okay. So this is the Xterm widget thing. It seems to be relatively independent of any particular UI environment, but it has the basic stuff that you would need to draw Xterm at all. What else do we have? Okay, so that's widget. I have some stuff I open up here. Xterm open session. I think we've got a good flavor of this. Okay, actually not that one, this one. Yeah, I'm going to ignore that. And that's Xterm open session again. Somehow I opened it twice. Let's get rid of this. Can I just close this? Okay. So what else do we want to see? This PTYX thing seems like it has a lot of possibly interesting structs. Let's look at structs. Oops. It's not going to give me the names of most of them if I do that. What if I do occur like this? That's maybe interesting. So we have cell, selected cells, params, ANSI, T modes. I'm going to guess T modes is terminal modes. No. We have X, Y, font size, and line type. Whatever those are. Internal select, color operations, push, SGR, font info, etc., etc., etc. Let's find out what tech is. Tektronix window parameters. So what is Tektronix? An American company best known for manufacturing test and measurement devices, such as oscilloscopes, logic analyzers, and video and mobile test protocol equipment. Why do they have their own terminal stuff? I don't know. Also, what is a logic analyzer? Is this for circuits? It captures and displays multiple logic signals from a digital system or digital circuit. A logic analyzer may convert the captured data into timing diagrams, protocol decodes, state machine traces, opcodes, and blah, 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 blah. All right. And so here is possibly a Tektronix terminal. We can look for Xterm Tektronix. Yeah, I think it seems to be about whatever this 4014 is. Maybe that was the thing that I just deleted. Yeah, look at that. I don't like books for learning by doing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I was saying before. People seem to like subdivide into these two types, and really it's like a mutually recursive function. What's the snake? or a Boris? That it is. No, that's not what I want. That is what I was looking for, but so the failure mode of learning by doing is typically that people don't spend enough time like doing research, and correspondingly the failure mode of people who prefer to do research is not spending enough time learning by doing. So you in both cases, I think you kind of have to push out of your comfort zone a little bit, and so your doing has to be supplemented a little bit by reading. And so that reading can start like as small as you want. Like if there's something that you don't like doing but you want it to become a habit, you could start like get a relevant book or some blog or something, and spend 5 minutes a day doing it, and just do it in kind of like a pro forma way where you don't really intend to get anything out of it. You're just making sure it's part of your routine. And I think stuff like that can go a long way to just ensuring that you're not stuck in the same place, because a lot of people who do stuff end up doing it often without knowing why they're doing it, or like why things are done that way. And that's just kind of like one of the traps you can fall into. And there's also like a tendency to like reinvent the wheel. Like even in like science and math, there's occasionally like a mathematician who clearly prefers to work things out themselves, and rather than like reading the literature. And what you find sometimes is that they like looking back on their life, they kind of had a couple of things that went the way they wanted to, but like they would have done a lot more if they had been more into communication with other people by reading, research, and stuff like that. And then there's the corresponding failure of people who kind of just set up castles in the sand and never really get to work at any point. So those are both two extreme ends of some spectrum, and you really want to be kind of like toward the middle. Find some sort of balance between those two things. That's my take anyway. All right, so I feel like we're going pretty slow through Xterm, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. Where's my timer? We've been here about 48 minutes. I don't really know what else I want to learn from Xterm. I've seen some of the history, which has made me feel good. Let's see what precompose is about. We have some base in comb. Returns Unicode value if a canonical composition exists. Something about Unicode. We could look more at graphic stuff, although all this graphic stuff should be pretty outdated. I don't know what 6L is. Maybe some company, or is 6L like an abbreviation of a common term? 6 pixels, a bitmap graphics format supported by terminals. Okay. And printers from DEC. So it's some DEC specific format, it looks like. Let's see what HTML support there is. We can make dim, which we're going to take. So we give it a color, we can make it dim by taking the color and multiplying by 2 and then dividing by 3. So taking 2/3 of the color and casting it as an unsigned short. You also have dump HTML header, et cetera, et cetera. And what are we doing this for? Dump HTML screen. Pixel to CSS color. I'm wondering if this is for like CSS style support in Xterm. Let's see if we can find Xterm HTML. There's Xterm.js, which is like a web version of Xterm. Let's ask the AI, why does Xterm have a HTML.c file? What is it doing? Maybe rich text display. Xterm. I'm not sure. I don't see why it would need to display a web page. There's terminal-based web browsers, but I'm not sure if that's what this is for. I'll ask Gemini. I don't know. If you know what what this file is for, then let me know. It's from 2021. Can I just open an HTML file somehow? Xterm google.com. How about we open something that's likely to send us a real HTML page? How about the Wikipedia page on cabbage? What if we wget this page? And then we open it next term. Yeah, it wants to open a shell as it should, because it's a terminal. I have no idea what this thing is for, HTML. Let's maybe, last thing we'll try is just grabbing the man page. Dump HTML. Invokes the XHTML screen dump feature. This creates an XHTML file matching the contents of the current screen, including border. Okay, so we can save the screen, I guess, as HTML. Is that what we're doing? I guess so. Should we try it? Can I access it from the menu? No. So Xterm dump XHTML. We have HTML colors. Don't use original Xterm colors, but HTML color names. More dim though. So it's stuff like for like saving the screen and having colors and stuff like that. I don't know how to dump it. I'm not going to look any more than that. All right, I think I'm going to leave Xterm here. I think we got a fair amount out of it. And up next, I'm going to do one more before I leave. Although I think my I think KDE is freaking out on me. I think up next, I will probably do. Let me pull up my list here. Oh, you know what? I already downloaded something. I think up next I'm going to do uBlock origin. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to take about a 2-minute break, and then I will be back.